Plataforma de información musical y radio online. Rutas Alternas. Escucha.
DC Gore está listo para presentarnos su placa debut, el disco All These Things. Está apareciendo bajo el cobijo de Domino Records y tenemos el gusto de enlazar en esta videollamada con Dominic para hablar ampliamente respecto al trabajo de DC Gore. Hola, Dominic.
Hola.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm hot, but very good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I know this is it's gonna be a hard couple of days because of the heat wave in the UK, right?
This is the cool day, so we've made it through. Yesterday and Monday were the hottest days, so today is supposed to be the cool day. So we'll see.
I went to the UK like a month ago, and there was a very hot day, like 34 degrees, and everybody was hell. What's happening, right?
Yeah, we don't know what to do in this weather. This is very unusual for us.
I know. I hope you can keep with the water, keep with the fan, with the air conditioning. Absolutely amazing.
The product placement there.
And one way to fight against the weather is music, right? And it's good to have a new music from DC Gore. First of all, Dominic, what can you tell us about the transition of being in a band to be a solo artist?
I mean, it's been a ride. It's been a ride. I think, I made a lot of the record during the pandemic, so a lot of it was made in quite an unusual way. A lot of it was made remotely. So I spent a while, a lot of the music on the album is stuff that we worked on as a band, and then stuff as it came out of that, moving it into being a solo project. So I think having that huge, everyone made an album during lockdown, right? Yes. But, it's an opportunity to do that for those who can. So I think learning to work remotely with people was a big part of that. So, I think being able to send music off to people, having them send it back, working on it, sending it back again, that's a big part of, that became a big part of my process. I never really loved working in studios anyway. I've never really gravitated towards that. I like working remotely. I like working sort of on the move, and having a minimal setup and stuff like that. So for me, this has worked, it actually worked out really well. So in that regard, it's been great.
I know, because it's great to can have this dialogue even with the distance, and you can work with a lot of musicians, right? Not only with your friends, with your bandmates, but you can have a lot of guests in your album. You can have different producers, maybe, I don't know.
Exactly. Well, that's it. I think, being able to work with people, even in other parts of the country here, is amazing. Like a lot of the people that I work with live in the north of England, or in areas that if I was to go and I was just trying to cost out how I would go and work with them in person, and what you might have to do in 2 days with somebody, you can do over a month, which is an amazing thing. And also, I think working with people directly one-on-one is a brilliant thing. But also, what I've become really interested in is actually allowing someone to sit with something and see what they come up with in their own time, what they come back with, and feeling sort of comfortable with that. And actually, I'm very excited about the idea of working with people internationally in other countries, because I think that's one way in which the internet and everything has really brought us some incredible artistic opportunities, is that you can do those things without having to have a huge budget to go and record somewhere else. And everyone has studios at home now, or some sort of setup to record, which is brilliant. So I think that's a wonderful thing.
I know you only need a laptop and you can do music, right?
That's the theory, yeah.
So Dominic, in the process of making this album, how important was for you to have these severe lockdowns to be away from people. I know you told that it's
Mm.
important to make music. You can have the opportunity to exchange music and use technology to create your songs. But what about the lyrics? It's important for you, this distance, this loneliness, this time to be with ourselves?
I mean, I've probably had enough of myself. I'll be honest with you. Me and myself spend enough time together. I'm quite happy to not have to spend too much time with myself. But yeah, I guess. I mean, I I listened to this John Grant thing, like podcast, where he was talking about how you know, songwriters are, because you're effectively trying to like bottle lightning. You know, songwriters are always looking for a correct process or the way that they do things, because then that makes them feel safe in trying to make stuff, right?
Yes.
And I think sometimes, you know, it's the thing that lockdown did do for me was it forced me to make certain decisions, right? Which I probably would have dithered over for some time if I'd have done so myself. You know, like being able to teach yourself how to use technology is an incredible thing that the internet has given us, right? So, you know, you can spend hours on YouTube watching videos of how to make anything you want.
Yes.
And that was a thing that lockdown, you know, really helped me with. Like I got an understanding of technology in a way which I didn't have before then. So like lyrically and musically, yes, absolutely having space to think about stuff. But also, I think I tend to work. As I said, I don't really work best in a studio. The best time for me working is actually just walking around, singing stuff into my phone. That's usually when I kind of come up with the stuff that I'm most interested in, or writing in my book. But writing, again, I rather do that out of the house. I don't like to be sort of, there's something about being in one space which I find is less inducive to me making stuff. So actually, you know, it was kind of the one time a day that we could walk around outside. That was the time that I usually found was the most sort of productive, or like the best time for thinking. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. So, Dominic, how different it was for you to release an album, your first album with the band, and now you're releasing your first album as a solo artist? You have the same feelings, the same emotion. You want to have the same goals. What do you expect about music industry now that you are a solo artist?
Well, you know, I'm in a very lucky position that, you know, people are interested in. Some people are interested in what I have to, you know, what I have to say about the world, and I think that's a, you know, I don't stop pinching myself about that. I suppose that, you know, obviously making something by yourself, you know, the buck stops with you, right? So if you make a bad decision, there's no one else to blame but me. So, you know, if I listen back to something and go, oh well, you know, shouldn't have done that, or I should have done that differently, you know, it is a reflection on the best that I could do at that time, you know. And what I think is key is that I put everything that I have into the record, you know, and so as a document of that time, it's a really, you know, it'll always have that meaning to me. So as in terms of the difference as a band, I mean, I definitely turn the vocals up louder. But no, I mean, no, that's probably not true. But yeah, you know, lots of things, I guess.
I know, because there are some things of the music industry that are not as sexy as write a song or play a gig, right? There are some things in the desk, there's some decisions that you have to make, and it's all important. It's all part of being an artist.
Yeah, but I think, you know, I've never tried very hard to make, I mean, to make something for other people to like it. You know, I think I've always, you know, the way that I sort of make stuff is very much like I wander around. I don't know. I like that David Lynch sort of thing, that these things are, or Alan Moore or someone like that. These things are existing out in the world, and you just sort of grab them and you try and reel them in. You know, to use the fish analogy, and then you just tune in the TV, and you're just trying to sort of bring it into focus for everyone, right? So it's not, you know, I don't. Even though I know the stuff that I make is probably quite specific to me and the choices that I would make. I think that, the way that I view it is very much like I'm just trying to look after this thing which I found, like finding a wild, animal or something, and I'm just like, okay, we're gonna find the best way of which I can look after you. And I think everything else sort of kind of gets, you get a bit lost in the way of that.
Yes.
I suppose.
Yes,
Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. You have to find your own way, and it's sometimes, or most of the times, are very hard to find it.
I think, I think there is a stubbornness which I recognize in myself, which I think is, I'm, definitely a people pleaser in a lot of ways, but I find it very difficult to compromise in certain things, and I just can't. I like, for whatever reason, I just can't do it, and that's not me being, a great, artist or whatever. There's just something inherent in me that sort of rebels against it. Maybe that's my sort of, rebellion, and I think when I look at the people that I really admire, the people that I hold myself up to,
Yes.
They did that, and so I feel like if I compromise now, I would be selling I would be doing them a disservice. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Dominic, you will release the album All These Things
Mm-hmm.
on July 29 through Domino
Mm-hmm.
Records, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How exciting is to release an album with Domino Records? It's an amazing label, one of the best labels in the world.
I mean, in my mind, they are the best label in the world. Like I would say that obviously, but I'm a huge fan of the work that gets made, and I'm a huge fan of Lawrence and the team there, because they really believe in artists in a way which I'm very lucky to be a part of that. And a lot of the time, I just, those were records that made a huge difference to me in my life. I mean, there's there's lots of more unusual records that I love, but that first Franz Ferdinand record came out at a time in my life when I was really looking for something different, and I've met Alex since, and I've never told him that, but buying that album had a huge impact on me as a as somebody who make stuff, and that's just one of, I mean, I could say everything from David Berman to Elliott Smith.
Yes.
There's Stephen Malkmus, and Stephen Merritt as well. There's so much amazing stuff on there, and amazing new stuff, and all sorts. So yeah,
I know that's
very cool.
Yes, it's the power and the magic of music, right? That connect with people all over the world and change you in a lot of ways.
Exactly, and I've met some fantastic people through that relationship. I mean, working with George Fitzgerald on his music was an incredible experience, and it's been an incredible thing to be involved in.
And you also release your album not only in digital platforms, but in physical formats, right? In CD, in vinyl, in color vinyl, in blue vinyl, I was read. And it's important, these physical formats, because it's an experience to listen them.
I think so, yeah. I think we've seen it actually in book publishing. I think there's been a resurgence in the physical form. I think we had a long time where big publishers and majors were putting out these very meaningless, like just physical releases. Like I used to work at an HMV and the Waterstones actually in the UK, and both those things, there was a time in publishing where the actual physical object itself was just very throwaway. It was very expensive and very throwaway. So I think the resurgence of vinyl in that is a wonderful thing. And actually, I'm just getting back into CDs in a big way as well, because I think CDs actually weirdly was probably the format that I grew up with and grew up collecting. So actually, recently I was like, do you know what? There's something about the CD that has this resonance from when I was a kid. So having a physical, object is an incredible thing. And, there's a cheesy unboxing video coming your way of the album, because I think it looks amazing. And I'm very lucky that I work with incredible people who help make that a reality.
We can order your physical formats on Domino Mart, the Domino Records store, but also we can buy your vinyl and CD when you come to Mexico, right? You have to come.
I want to come. I'm excited to come. Get me over there. I want to come.
Any plans yet to come to Mexico?
We're going to work on it. We're going to work damn hard on it. I would love to be there. So yeah, please, buy the record. And I will be there.
Absolutely. Okay? In the meantime, we can listen on digital platforms, on all streaming platforms, all these things on Domino Records. July 29 is the release of the new album of DC Gore. Dominic, it's been a pleasure to have this conversation with you. I hope you can make it through this heat wave. And congratulations on the album. Your music is amazing.
Thank you so much. It really means a lot, and it's been a real pleasure speaking to you. So hopefully see you soon.
Plataforma de información musical y radio online. Rutas Alternas. Escucha.